Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we are now really close to the month of Ramadan, and one of the things that we should be usefully thinking about is developing a schedule that will enable us all to make the most of the month of Ramadan. Now, of course, this depends on your personal circumstances. So what I'm about to say should reflect your daily routine as well. But the aim should be to keep ourselves busy in whatever way possible, doing good deeds. And so having free time makes it more likely that we might get distracted and worse, end up engaging in sin. So what are some of the things that we should include in our timetable? The most obvious one is making sure that we are punctual with our 5 times daily prayers. If that means going to the mosque, try as much as you can to pray in the mosque as well. And that also includes the sunnah prayers. Normally many of us might be busy and we might neglect the sunnah outside of Ramadan, but in the month of Ramadan we really want to pray our sunnah as well. So we want to get to the mosque early, we want to be in a prayer mat and pray our sunnah before and after the prayer as well. So be there as much as you can soon and early before the prayer begins as well. That's for the 5 times daily prayer. The second thing pertaining to our prayers is the Qiyamul Layl, the Taraweeh and or the Tahajjud. So along with fasting during the month of Ramadan, this is a highlight for all of us in the month of Ramadan as well. And this is where you can really connect with the Quran. So if you're praying at home or you're listening to Taraweeh, it's important to listen and recite the Quran slowly so you can feel the verses in your heart and them impacting your heart. So when Allah talks about paradise, you want to really feel that that is what you want. And when God warns us of the torment and the punishment of the fire, you really feel that that's a place that you don't really want to go to. And think about Allah talking to you directly as well. Third one is the Salatul Duha, which is usually read approximately 15 or 20 minutes after sunrise until 15 minutes before the Dhuhr prayer. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever offers the Fajr prayer in congregation and remains seated engaging in the remembrance of Allah until the sun has risen and thereafter offers 2 units of prayer, he will have a reward that's equal to that of performing the Hajj and the Umrah. So many of us will be thinking about going for Hajj. We may not have the opportunity to go Umrah, but we get the same reward just staying in the mosque or sitting in on our prayer mat for that little bit longer. And of course, if you're not able to do so because you have to get home or you have commitments, then at least when you can, you pray the 2 units of prayer as well. So this is very, very important. Now we've talked about the prayer. I want to talk about the Quran. This is the month of the Quran. First of all, set yourself a modest target for reciting the Quran. So see how much you can recite at the beginning of the month of Ramadan. But as the days go past during the month of Ramadan, you should really be ramping up the amount of Quran you recite. You should set yourself some ambitious targets to recite the Quran as much as possible, and finding time during your day, during your evening, during your morning, where you can recite the Quran as much as possible. But alongside with reciting the Quran, try and find some time to memorize, review your memorization, learn some of the meanings and reflect upon the Quran. Inshallah, we intend to have some videos, daily videos that will be released that will reflect upon the Quran as well. So bring the Quran really alive into your day. Have a minimum of at least one thing that you will act upon based on what you recite for the day. So if you recite something from the Quran and you look at what it means, try and bring that into your life as well. So we've talked about prayer, salah, we've talked about Quran. Let's also talk about dhikr. This is remembering God as much as you can. Have a set of azkar that you can recite in the morning and in the evening without fail. Find some time either after the Maghrib prayer, after the Fajr prayer, before the Fajr prayer, however it works for you to recite some azkar. Before you get up from prayer, when you finish praying, recite some azkar then as well. Before you go to sleep and you rest, recite some azkar before you go to sleep, so you go to sleep remembering your Creator. And one should remember Allah throughout the day. Once you're cooking, working, driving, in whatever way possible, one should be reciting azkar as much as they can as well. And so try and also reflect upon what they mean as well. So many of us will recite them, but we don't often know what it means. It's important to reflect on what it actually means as well. And so combine your azkar with also what's called tafakkur, this idea of reflecting deeply upon your purpose, your existence, why you're here as well. The fourth one really is important in the month of Ramadan, which is the dua. Du'as are accepted, our supplications are accepted. So one should make as much supplications as they can before the iftar, before one breaks their fast, and supplicate throughout the day, because you're fasting. You're in a state where you're staying away from sins and obeying your Creator. So make as much supplications as you can. When you're in sajda, make dua to Allah, supplicate to your Creator, because we know أَقْرَبُ مَا يَقُونُ الْعَبْدُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ. A person is closest to their Creator when they are in sujood. And so remember to recite as many supplications as you can, and you have the daily supplications when you go to the bathroom, when you leave the bathroom, when you eat, and all of that. So important to remember to recite them as well. And praise Allah at the start of your dua. Always begin. The sunnah, the adab, the propriety of a dua is that we praise by beginning by praising our Creator. When you go to a king, you praise the king before you petition to your king for what you want as well. So build a special bond with him. Of course, one more thing that I just want to emphasize in this month as well is helping others and maintaining family ties. So there might be people in your community who are particularly vulnerable. Maybe reach out to them, see if they need any help. Elderly people, people who have disabilities, reaching out to them, making sure that their needs are taken care of in the month of Ramadan. Also, as it's a month of Ramadan, if you have strained relationships with your family, repair those relationships with them before the month of Ramadan comes. And think of an act of kindness that you can do for your family during the month of Ramadan. Maybe that's washing their dishes, maybe helping people with certain things, certain tasks, so that that work, that burden becomes less for everybody during the month of Ramadan as well. And of course, give as much charity as you can in the month of Ramadan as well. Try to feed people, try to get to the mosque early, maybe take some food to your neighbors, maybe take some dates to the mosque, and try and help people and provide food for people who are fasting in the month of Ramadan as well. And as we approach the last 10 days, we need to remember that we should intensify our worship schedule, and if we need to, we can take some time off work if possible, so that we can focus ourselves on our creation, our connection with our Creator. Until next time, inshallah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.